So there we have our backdrops. And let's go ahead and check out what we've got. We've got a little weird doors. Looks pretty crazy. But we'll go ahead and play. Just like before, you hit play and you can hop right into your map. Excuse me. Um, and again, with the interiors, everything sort of works as the rest of the core game does as far as objectives go. So if you have objectives to defeat things, if you like, you can have it show the path or not. The author, however, has the option to turn off navigation. So if they want it to be a little bit more of a challenge or maybe an actual like dungeon run where we've got to figure out what to do and where to go, you'll have your mission objectives, but they can turn off that waypoint so that you actually have to go find what you need to do. So that's definitely an option. Oh man, this sure does look look as I expected it to look. Well, that's cool. It's cool that I'm getting healed up here. There's a teleporter. When given the option to defeat things or not, go ahead and use the teleporter. Aha! Here I am, teleported into this other place. Now the black and white sky really doesn't show off the coolness of this kit. But what it does show off is the coolness of the Skyfile override. So I think as an author, I was like, well, this does look pretty cool, but I really wasn't, you had a great point earlier about making a flashback. I don't know, it really wasn't, it's not giving me what I think I really wanted, right? So I'm just going to go to back to the editor, and I'm going to change that. Spooky. Red.
Red heavy.
Yeah, that's good. It might be red. Okay. And I'm kind of sick of being level 1. So we'll go ahead and change that. I'll be a level 10 trickster rogue. Oh, there you go. I just leveled up. And then we'll go ahead and play the map again.
Congrats.
Hey, thanks. Now, because I'm in the editor and I'm obviously moving my levels around, it's going to play all of the tips and stuff that you normally get when you level up. But here we go. I leveled up. I changed my sky file, so I'm pretty sure it's not going to be black and white, but we'll see. So far, we've covered pretty much everything across what would be like across the sort of the top. After we look at this map, we're gonna hop into costumes really quick, and then we'll. Whoa, dude, he's naked. Just joking. I've got when you respec, you're given gear. Wouldn't that be funny?
Well, he still doesn't have pants, but
Well,
that's all right.
he's tricking people. He does. It's just they don't think he does. Oh, now I remember. When I made this quest, I placed a bunch of friendly NPC guards as encounters that helped me fight. Oh,
Whoa.
that was smart of me.
You totally did that on purpose and remembered doing it.
Um,
And so I have a question about
yeah.
those NPCs. I remember earlier you showed me the follow option, so you could have a quest where you have a certain NPC follow you throughout the quest.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry. I gotta finish the 3D editing real quick. It's gonna load the quest one more time. So absolutely. In fact, there's some really good quests out there. So I can have and one actually that I'm working on, which is having friendly NPCs follow after you save them. So you gotta, run around and save the NPCs because they're being like guards are under attack, and then they say, "Oh, thanks for saving us," and then I talk to one of them, and I say, "Hey, can you help me out?" And they say, "Yeah," and then they follow me, and then I'm trying to in the quest that I'm building, I build like a big army, and then I'm gonna go siege a castle.
Oh, wow.
It's gonna take a long time because I gotta build a castle. But there has been some tremendous stuff done so far, and is available right now to play, where authors are using exactly that. They're using um, the follow behavior in combination with the friendly NPCs to have the NPCs follow them around. Um, there's a really good quest in Black Lake where uh, there's like a little guy there's like a little guy that follows you around uh, and just sticks with you. I've seen another quest where there's a cat that's a uh, seems to be like a familiar, and it follows you, but then gets to places and goes and does other things, and then you know appears to be guiding the player a little bit. So
Oh, okay.
there's some pretty cool things that you can do with that. Um, now what we don't have. Oh, this place looks pretty cool. What we don't have is, however, is what we call atomic behaviors. And really all that means is behaviors that link between states, right? So um, just sort of that the ability for authors to be as creative and precise and technical as they want to be in the Foundry. Um, One of the things that the best authors seem to be able to do is really think outside of the box, and they got to really think about the sort of the Legos, if you will, right? The building blocks of what they're making. Um, so um, I'll return to the Foundry and I'll the 2D editor, and I can try to show you. Um, Basically, you have um, using an NPC specifically here to having him appear, right? You would have to basically have, if you wanted this NPC, a dolphin, to do multiple things, you'd have to have multiple versions of him. So each NPC can essentially do one thing at a time. So if I wanted a dolphin, like for that to, if I reached them to then to have me walk here and then walk me down here and give me a tour of this dungeon, I'd have to have a version of him that does one thing, and then at the end of that, basically a new version appears, and then he does the next step. And if then he becomes a combat critter, then I have to place a combat critter and use the same costume. So it's about really stringing those things together. Um, the atomic behavior is one of the things that we really want to get in for an update. And it's really high on our list. So basically, you can have a single guy that can go through and be an NPC and then turn into a combat thing, and then go back to being a contact and then do something else. But it's all about when you want to build complex behaviors and complex interactions. Um, you have to really think about the blocks of each of those things and what they mean when you do what they mean to make all of that stuff work out. So, for instance, we have this guy here, right? Leon Tamari. He appears when this objective is in progress, but that objective is only in progress after this objective is complete to talk to him the first time. Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
we talk to him here, and then in this quest, the player starts here, he investigates the camp, finds this guy, he tells him to go defeat this big spider and defeat the scary spiders, and then get proof you killed the spiders. And then while the player's doing this, he walks back here, and then this guy becomes active, right? So all the components are on screen in here, but when you play it, if you remember when we first went through, there was nobody standing here, right? He doesn't stand here until after you talk to his contact version here. Does that make sense?
Gotcha.
So
Gotcha.
it's definitely something that's on our list to get and ready for the authors, and I know it's on their list as well. So we looked at the interior editor, dragging and dropping rooms, making teleporters to link room kits that don't necessarily line up. Definitely combat was in there. We already went over how encounters can be tweaked and changed on the fly. And then we looked at dialogue trees. We looked at items and how to make them. That was pretty quick. Let's look at costumes. So continuing in that theme of options and customization and being able to do as much as we possibly can imagine with the tools that we have at our disposal, the costume editor is no different. And one thing Cryptic is sort of known for, right? Is its character customization and costume stuff. So, of course, we have insane customization. So available right away, if we want to create a new costume that we can put on an encounter, on an NPC, on all over the place in the game, or in our quest that we're making. We have a bunch of stock costumes. Oh, bears, nice. Um, and these are all, we have characters that you have come across in the world. So that if you want to tell a different story about those characters, you definitely can. Maybe a continuing story of something that we've created at Cryptic. So there's a lot of freedom there, and some really cool stuff I've seen is people telling stories about NPCs that are in a zone that are just sort of flavor and there in the background. And I really get a kick out of the Foundry quests that do that. That say, hey, you know that those people you just walk past, they actually have a life and a story. That's pretty cool. So here's a bunch of stock stuff of guys that you'll find in the game, guys and gals and things and animals and stuff. I don't know if what these are, but whatever. But let's pick something that's pretty basic. We also have the starting costumes that players can see, and all the variations of those available. Let's go ahead and start with our halfling male. That takes us to the costume property so that we can get this guy looking proper. And right at the top, you can see there's an advanced mode, and we'll go to that in a second. We can revert if we make a bunch of changes and we don't like it. We can revert. Immediately, we see that there are tons of options for the stance. All the different stances that our critters use in the game, our critters and mobs. So if you want this guy to have a specific flavor, when you use this costume and you put it on a humanoid, it's going to use these animations. So these are the stances, and they'll sort of, it goes into their attack animations and their idols and all of that stuff. So there's a lot of.
And I have a general question about this.
Yeah.
So by costume, this is just more or less a template that you can apply to an NPC.
Absolutely. This is not an NPC.
Right. So if you were to put this costume on, for example, I don't know, like an orc you found in the forest, would he look like this, or would he look like the orc and just mimic what this costume's doing?
Nope, he would look exactly like this.
Okay.
And so that's how you can get, halflings to use and look like to use orc powers and to look like orcs. So you get an orc encounter and you put it down, and then you put this costume that we're going to make on it. It would be a customized halfling using orc powers.
Gotcha.
So similarly, we could put this on our spiders instead of our chicken, right? And it would be this costume on the encounter.
And shooting webs and venom and stuff.
Exactly.
And so whenever that happens, this costume, it already knows its own attack animation, so it'll play those animations?
Yeah, so the costume is built in with its bones and stuff in the rigging. So if you throw this costume on a humanoid, a bipedal humanoid, all of the animations for all the attacks will just work. But if you throw it on a quad, this is not a quad rig, so there are going to be some things that naturally don't translate.
Okay.
But then again, the freedom for the authors to make what they want and the vision that they have. And I can definitely, if you could sit and just think for probably 30 seconds, you can imagine, I can imagine something happening. Yep, where that might happen. Yeah, a halfling shooting venom. Yeah, I can imagine that. So here we go. We set our stance. I like zombies, so we use the zombie stance. There's a bunch of various helmets that are available from the game. A lot of stuff. You can really tweak it out. You'll recognize some of this stuff as being sort of the cooler end of the gear that's available. Okay.
And while you just mentioned gear,
Yeah.
Whenever you get to the end of a Foundry quest, is there the ability to customize what shows up in the treasure chest, or is that going to be auto-generated?
So that is generated and appropriate for your level.
Okay.
So
And your class, I would assume, right?
well, there's you're not going to get something specific for your class every time you do a Foundry quest.
Okay.
The there's always a chance that you're going to get something for your class, but we have reward tables that are rolled, and it's also based on the amount of time spent. So the longer you play, there's some really epic dungeons and stuff. You're more likely to get some better loot. There is some scale, there are some quality differences in there. There are some loot roll tables. Um, we are definitely aware of the author's concerns about you know the perception of the quality of their quests based on the stuff that is rewarded at the end. And that's just stuff that we have to watch. And like anything with Neverwinter, right? It's an MMO. We're not done. There's still tons of stuff we're doing, tons of stuff we're gonna do going forward. So it's all about getting the feedback, working with the community, authors and players for the Foundry, and making sure everything's fine. And it works for them just as in a way that feels good. But at the same time, we also don't want to break the game. So we're creating custom items with stats isn't something that we're going to have authors do, and because there's some integrity of the game that we want to maintain. So continuing, there's lots of stuff. Obviously, more costume pieces that we can put on. It just keeps going. You can change the colors of each of these things. Definitely remove stuff, put something else on. We go to the head, and we can. I have a hat on, so this isn't a very good demonstration of this, but you change all of the hair, add some attach points. Pretty good.
And is there a way to change the skin color to make him, if you wanted to make him look like a zombie hobbit? Or I mean halfling?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have complexion here.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. Which is that? Am I getting there?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. And the eyes, well, got to be blind, right?
There we go.
Zombies. Oh, wow, that's funny. Do not ever use this. Zombie with bushy eyebrows. Then we have the upper and lower body tools. We definitely have to switch the advanced mode, and it's going to say, you're going to do advanced things. Do you want to? Absolutely. So zombies are going to have long nails. I don't know how nails grow after you're zombified, but anyways, they do. And then all these sliders. Obviously, there are way more sliders, or sorry, there used to be way more sliders that in beta, but we still have a lot more, I think, freedom in the sliding than in normal character creation. So we're not restricted to sort of the normal sliders in here. Obviously, this is a lot bigger than I think we've created in character creation. So authors still have a lot of freedom to make their costumes look exactly like they like. Within the confines of what we have here for the sliders. As you can see, there's a lot of values, and don't laugh. There's a perfectly good explanation of why this happened.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I've heard of giant halflings all the time. It sounds like a paradox, but I'm sure there's a reason for it.
Right. I mean, spell plague. So.
Exactly.
So as you can see, lots of freedom. Super tall halflings. A lot of freedom into making the custom costumes that the authors can use for their super tall halfling. A lot of freedom for the costumes that the authors can make for their encounters and NPCs. Just sort of continuing that that theme of lots of customization, a lot of options, simple on the surface, easy to make some stuff using drag and drop in each of our tabs in the story and the maps for all of our things. But then drilling down to the layers, you can get super complex, changing behaviors like we looked at. And then in the end, when you have everything that you've done and you have no errors, I have errors, you can go ahead and publish. So here's the pre-published task list. You go ahead and there's some stuff I got to fill in, and it takes you right to what you need to do. So here's an objective that has no text. It needs to have text. There we go. State transition didn't select an object. So we got to make sure we do that. Text must be filled in here. We didn't add a description. It takes care of that one. And then a valid resource must be chosen, meaning this resource for this icon. So we try our best to help the author out to figure out all of this stuff. that maybe they forgot to fill in so that their quest is complete and has no errors. And as you can see, I closed all my tasks. There's no more, and I could publish if I want. So that's pretty much it. We have, we went through all of our tabs. There's lots of stuff here. I mean, I could keep going over this for a very long time. There's
Oh, I'm sure.
the Foundry has it has a barrier of entry, right? But as soon as you start peeling back those layers of basically what's past the top when you go to the second layer of options, it really opens itself up to the possibilities of what can be created. We only touched on, some very basic stuff. I mean, there's if you do outdoor stuff, outdoor maps, um, there's tons of maps here that are already made, tons of maps from the game that you would recognize. Evan Downs, if you've been there. Then there's detailed maps like Hotnow. We have things that are just plain, so people can build everything they absolutely want. We have empty maps, what we call sort of template maps, where you can, whatever your heart can imagine, you can build in these maps. And they're huge, right? It's a big map. This isn't a tiny little map. You can build cities here if you want. Guided maps. I mean, there's so many options, and that is the one thing that we really wanted to make sure we did for the Foundry authors, that they have a lot of freedom, as much freedom as they can possibly have, tons of options, and the ability to be as creative as they possibly can imagine. That's basically it. I mean, that's kind of an understatement. There's a lot of stuff. Do you have any questions or anything?
um, I mean, that seems to pretty much cover, like you said. I mean, I guess it's basically a good starting point, right?
Yeah,
I mean, there's so many more options after that. I did have a few general questions that I wanted to save for the end.
sure.
First is, are there going to be any things in the Foundry down the line that can only be used for people that would pay money to access, or is everything going to be open to just for free?
Content and Foundry content in general is free. I mean, I our goal is to give the freedom for authors to be able to create uh, Foundry Quest content and keep it free for everybody who wants to create it and play it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just kind of curious to know if, maybe there'd be, like, I don't know, the option to do a certain thing that not everyone can do if if you're a founder, or if you purchase, this certain item or something like that.
Uh, no, there's currently there's nothing like that right now, and there's no plans for it right now.
Oh, okay. Another question is, do you ever have any plans for people to kind of, I guess, upload their own resources into the Foundry?
That's something that,
Like
yeah, we've
voiceovers or music, or maybe even their own custom objects or anything like that?
that's definitely something that we've talked about. We've definitely thought a lot about it. Um, it gets really uh, it gets really sticky. Um,
Right.
there's a process. I mean, there'd have to be a process for submission, and then obviously there's an approval process and time, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into that. I think it's an absolutely amazing idea, and something that we're definitely thinking about. It isn't anything that would be short term. I mean, there's a lot of infrastructure and stuff that we would have to put together for that, um, and uh, and and a lot of back end work. But it's definitely very interesting. We talk about it, um, and it's something that'll be on our minds.
Oh, okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, it's something you're talking about,
Yep.
so. And let's see. This question's not really specific to the Foundry. It's a question I had that I haven't had any other interviews, so I haven't had a chance to ask it yet. Do you know if those items that are in the Founder packs are going to be available to purchase in the store for anyone, or are they going to remain exclusive for just Founders?
Um, I don't really have a good answer for you about the founder pack stuff.
Okay, okay.
Um,
I'll see if I can email and ask somebody about that.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it seems to pretty much cover everything. I mean, it was about an hour and a half long, so if people have stuck around this entire time, then I'm sure they're ready to jump in and be authors now.
Absolutely, and I mean, it's it's an amazing tool, and I think the community is totally awesome. Anybody who's stuck around, even through the first 15 minutes of my sort of rambling and pedaling through the editor, um, get in and make some stuff. It's totally cool. The Foundry is awesome, and it's only going to get better. We got a lot of really big plans for the Foundry. Um, so it's, I mean, as you can see, right, as we looked a little bit before, I mean, there's tons and tons and tons of quests. We've got 3 featured right now, guys that are authors that won the contest for uh, that we ran, and then featured authors and stuff. Um, it's totally amazing. It's a really great community, and everybody should hop in and play some Foundry, get their stuff out there.
Yeah, I've played a couple, and it was pretty surprising. In a lot of ways, I would have if someone told me that it was a quest in the game, I would have believed them.
Yeah, there's some really good stuff. I'm working my way through the list. I'm on new, and so I'm going through here. Um, there's so much I got to play, but as you can see, I mean, people are playing. There's got good plays. The ratings are coming through. Um, you know, I'm recognizing names left and right, and then seeing like 20 and 30 new names even since yesterday. This is pretty cool.
And I did have one other question.
Yeah.
How do they assign those preview images and the banner images for the
Oh,
quests?
here? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So you remember when actually well, I'll just see. Remember when I picked the map on the left-hand side and I picked the icon and placed it on the map?
Yeah, yeah.
These 2 images are the same images that's in that little icon.
Oh, okay. So it automatically does that to keep it consistent.
Yep.
And so what about whenever it just says Foundry?
That's a that's a legacy issue. That means
Oh,
the author didn't pick that location in their
oh, I
quest.
see. I
And then
see.
there was a change where basically we validated that and we said, "Oh, you got to pick a location." So they have not gone and done that yet.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
They're actually, it's funny. They're kind of revealing themselves because that was only an issue in in beta. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, uh, I hope you got the stuff that you need, and if you ever have any more questions, hit us up, hit me up, and I'm anytime ready, willing, and able to go through and talk Foundry.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. I really enjoyed it. And could you just restate your name and title one more time for everybody?
Yep, I'm Rob Overmeyer. I am working on the producer on Neverwinter for the Foundry.
All right.